Hello everyone, my name is Elaine Wyllie and thanks very much for asking me to speak at the Primary PE conference. I hope you're all well in these very strange times and that you're looking forward, as we all are, to a bit of normality, hopefully, when we get the vaccine in the new year. So I'm going to talk about the Daily Mile today, and I started the Daily Mile when I was head teacher in St Ninian's Primary School in Stirling in 2012. And who would have thought? I never would have, but now we're in almost 12,000 primary schools across the UK and across the world. So I hope this presentation will give you a clear picture of what the Daily Mile is. And there we go. So I'll talk in the next 15 minutes about what the Daily Mile is, the core principles, how it fits into the curriculum, how far the children actually run, how it removes barriers to physical activity, how it meets the needs of children with special and complex needs within mainstream and also within special settings, the benefits of the Daily Mile and why it works in schools and nurseries. So what is it? The Daily Mile is physical activity and it's about health and well-being. It's not PE and it's not sport. It takes 15 minutes, the class goes out with their teacher, and in the 15 minutes of running, jogging, walking, the children average a mile or more each day. It needs to be social, non-competitive and fun. Some children will choose to compete and that's fine, but it's basically a social activity and the children need to enjoy it. The children run at their own pace, it's always outdoors, in almost all weathers, not quite all of the worst weathers. And we look at the weather as a benefit, not a barrier, something for the children to enjoy and experience. It's every child, every day, whatever their age, ability or circumstances, and it's fully inclusive. No staff training is needed, and critically, there's no workload for teachers. No set up, tidy up or equipment needed. The children simply go out with their teacher and run in the playground. No kit, so the children run in their school clothes and they return to class ready to learn. One of the things it does is that it encourages children to be aware of their own health. And here's a nice quote from our brilliant Eliud Kipchoge, our Daily Mile Global Ambassador, and he ran as a child and knows the value of that. His own children run every day. And the core principles of the Daily Mile, the Daily Mile is very simple, but it won't work well if the core principles are not adhered to. So here they are. It takes just 15 minutes. It mustn't take 20 or 30 minutes. It's just 15 minutes out of class time. It must be fun, as I've said. It's every child, including children who have mobility difficulties, and the weather, as I've said, is a benefit, not a barrier. You don't need a special path, although sometimes schools do have one because they've only got the field and it's been a bit muddy, or they just have a lovely route set out. But the children can't run in mud, so a firm surface in the playground is good. Risk assess the route, involve the children and the staff in risk assessing the route to make sure it's safe. And it needs to be in curricular time. So it's not before school, it's not at lunchtime or break time, and it's not after school. And it must be at least 3 times a week, otherwise the children are not fit enough to do it and they won't enjoy it. School clothes, and the children go at their own pace, but teachers know their children and they know when to encourage them to run. But the children run or jog at their own pace, sometimes walking. Typically they run or jog for around 11 of the 15 minutes and walk in between times for 4, and that's fine. And keep it simple. It can be, you can add some sparkles and some fun, extra fun, but really essentially the key thing is to get the children out every day running in the fresh air. In the curriculum, and this is important because it's happening in schools and nurseries across the world, it's a practical approach to health and well-being. Physical, mental, social, emotional. It's more than just a discussion. It's an actual practical partial solution. We know that physical activity in the form of a Daily Mile improves behaviour and concentration, And we know that physical activity helps with attainment. It's really important that people know that it's not PE or sport, but it does improve access to both. And we have evidence for all of these statements that I'm making, and I hope to show you that evidence just at the end of the presentation. But in Scotland, where the Daily Mile started, we have 2 hours of PE statutory every week for all children in primary. And the Daily Mile was always in addition to this, and it comes out of the health and wellbeing curriculum. And what the Daily Mile does is it improves basic fitness, and children are fitter and more willing and happy to enjoy PE and sport. The Daily Mile contributes 15 minutes to the daily recommended physical activity time, and during this time the children's heart rate is up and they're out of breath, and that's really critical for their health now and for the future. It always goes down well when there's no workload for staff, and everyone can find 15 minutes a day. It's not disruptive within the school setting. Ideally, it happens at a time of the teacher's choosing, and if you like, you can make connections across the curriculum to what the children are doing in the class. The Daily Mile is always free and never costs a school anything. How far do the children run in 15 minutes? And this was measured by the universities of Stirling and Edinburgh in St Ninians, and the children had been doing the Daily Mile for more than 2 years. And this is what they found, that the younger children were doing, so that 5 laps equal a mile, and this is how they measured it. So some children were doing the 5 laps in the 15 minutes, some were doing less, and some were doing more. And for the 4 to 7-year-olds, they found that half the children were doing a mile in the 15 minutes. Half were doing more, 25% were doing more, and 25% were doing less. So 75% of children were doing a mile or more. And this goes up to 90% of children doing a mile or more with the older children. So 50% run a mile, 40% do more than a mile, and 10% for various reasons run less than a mile, but they're out in the fresh air with their friends. And so this adds up to a lot of running in the school week in the 15 minutes a day. And we have had great support from various people for the Daily Mile, including Tanny Gray-Thompson, who has been very fulsome in her praise for it and has done the Daily Mile with children in the north of England, and that was a great day we had with her. And she obviously likes the accessibility, the fact that it's fully inclusive, and children in mainstream and special settings go out and do the Daily Mile with their classmates, or sometimes with their carer. The Daily Mile, we didn't see this coming, but the Daily Mile removes barriers to physical activity in school. Now, it's not PE, so you don't need kit. You need kit for PE, but you don't need it for the Daily Mile. So all the issues around kit, cool, uncool, lost, not washed, missing, time spent changing, body image and so on, all these disappear. The children put the pencil down and out they go with their teacher. There's no extra work for the teacher in terms of set up and tidy up, and there's no warm up for the children. The scientists have told us that they go straight out and run just as they do at playtime. I've spoken about the weather before. You don't need to be sporty or competitive, but it's fine if you are. That's really good. Very quickly, when doing the Daily Mile, they go out in line order and off they go. And very quickly, the children are running around. You can't see who's in the lead. No one's in the lead. So you don't need to be sporty. But children naturally seem to enjoy running, and the competitive element does come through for some, but by no means for all. Many of them like a blether, a chat, and a laugh, and just get on with it. No budget or training required, and keep it simple. It's very easy to risk assess. It offers an activity which is fully inclusive, and it's always free. And a key thing which someone came to the school from Education Scotland, one of the PE staff, and said to us, there's no failure here. All the children are succeeding at their own Daily Mile. And that's really important. So it works well in special settings and also children with special needs in mainstream. And whatever support the children need, they get it. And we have many success stories and one from around the UK. And one of the really interesting things has been the way special settings have taken up the Daily Mile and adapted it to suit their children, young people and setting. Children on the autistic spectrum do well with the Daily Mile. It's a known and safe place where they can go with their carer or with their class, and their emotions can settle down if needed. It helps children who have had difficult lives to talk about very often with their teacher. Very often there are disclosures or very good quality side-by-side conversations with children and their teacher when they can discuss. They can find 15 minutes every day. They know the teacher will be available. It's a safe space. It's not in front of the whole class. You're just walking side by side. And we've had lots of reports of this happening. And many children with various diagnoses take part. So we have many examples of children with these particular diagnoses benefiting from the Daily Mile. And this is from Danny Ruta, who is a Director of Public Health in Lewisham. And he's been very supportive of the Daily Mile, and he believes that it has the potential to contribute to a solution for childhood obesity. Benefits, there are many benefits to the Daily Mile, but they're whole child benefits. Children...
Unknown caller.
Sorry about that. Children were born to be physically active, and this gives them the opportunity every day. And so when they're running with their friends, there are all these benefits coming to them. Access to PE and sport for a big proportion of children is really important. One of the things we've found in a recent piece of research from Imperial College London is that children across the country in schools in areas of deprivation are really benefiting from the Daily Mile and becoming becoming much better at PE and sport, and it reaches into places where basically it's hard to reach. And of course there are no underrepresented groups. The children are in their school every day, and therefore they don't need to be taken anywhere by their parents. They're right there and able to do their Daily Mile. We know that obesity levels are reduced over time with the Daily Mile. Sedentary behaviour is reduced and MVPA is increased. And this is all based on research from universities across the UK and beyond. Resilience, self-esteem, determination are improved, and children have the ability to be out in most weathers, connecting with nature and the seasons. And we know how important it is for children to be outdoors as much as possible. And of course, self-care is going to be the answer for us. We have to look after our own health, and the Daily Mile gives children the power to take responsibility for their own self-care. And parents, we have had lots and lots of support from parents across the country. They really like the Daily Mile. They notice the difference it makes to their children. And it's the benefits start from day one. The mental health benefits start from day one, and after a couple of weeks, the children are used to doing it, and the physical fitness kicks in, and they're fit very quickly. They sleep better, they eat better. These are things that parents have been telling us. Why does it work in schools? Why? It's where the children are every day. It's simple and free, no equipment or training. Critically, it's sustainable in the long term. So it's not here today, gone tomorrow. It'll be with the school this year, next year, and ongoing. The children enjoy it, and that is absolutely critical, and they look forward to it. They ask their teacher, when can we do our Daily Mile? And it meets the simple needs of childhood: fun, friends, freedom, fresh air, being outdoors. Fitter in 4 weeks, and this level of fitness is maintained or improved with the Daily Mile. A practical approach to health and well-being, not only a message, and it helps to improve body composition. No underrepresented groups. And a lovely quote from a child. We have many of these quotes. You see them in our Twitter feed, on our website, lots of lovely videos on our website. So that's the Daily Mile. What I'm going to do now is hopefully stop sharing and get another, I hope, let's see, the research. Now, I have the research up on my screen, so sorry about this. I'm going to share screen again, and I'm going to go to the research. There we go, that should work. And obviously I've made lots of claims for the Daily Mile, and to start with, when we could see it working really well in St Ninians, all we had was the opinions of the children, the parents, the staff, the school community. But these opinions and beliefs about the Daily Mile have been borne out over the years by some remarkable research that's been carried out, as I say, across the UK and elsewhere across the globe. And so these references with the numbers are references to research, and I'll show you some of the universities that have been involved. But these are proven benefits by peer-reviewed research on the Daily Mile. So bone health, muscle strength, fitness, heart health, reduces body fat, improves body composition, supports self-esteem and happiness, reduces anxiety, increases confidence, improves focus and concentration. That's a key one for schools, obviously. Teachers really notice the difference. The class can be unsettled, go and do the Daily Mile and come back in settled and ready to learn again. Memory, maths, problem solving, academic achievement and cognitive performance. And so we can divide these into physical health and well-being, mental health and well-being, and learning benefits. And if I just scroll down, these are the studies and the various universities who've been involved in specifically researching the Daily Mile. So thanks very much for listening, and I hope that you have a really super conference, and I wish you absolutely all the best as we move out of COVID and hopefully into much better times. Thank you.